Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a show that is notorious for the edits that 4Kids made to it when it was localized for Western audiences. Amongst many censorship related changes, such as the removal of suggestive themes and violence, there were also many other changes that 4Kids would make, such as removing virtually any instances of text from the footage, including even when the original text was in English. Today, Censored Gaming will be taking a look at some of these changes, and more specifically focusing on the edits that were made to the character Téa Gardner. Téa is one of Yugi's best friends, and is one of the main characters throughout the show's 224 episodes. She is also the only female character within Yugi's circle of close friends. So without further ado, here are 8 ways that 4Kids changed Yu-Gi-Oh's Téa Gardner. Number 1. Téa's name. Téa is not called Téa in the Japanese version, instead she goes by the name Anzu Mazaki. Anzu's original name is of Japanese origin, and it's likely that 4Kids were of the opinion that something more Western would fit better. As for the meaning behind the original name though, Anzu in Japanese means apricot, and Mazaki can be translated into Mask of Truth. Number 2. The time that Téa got mugged. Episode 22 contains a scene that 4Kids were never going to allow in the English versions of the show. Whilst in the Western release, Téa gets confronted by a mugger who tells her to hand over all of her money, in the Japanese version things are very different. Here the mugger can be seen with a camcorder, which he often uses to videotape Téa's skirt. Additionally, whilst the Japanese version makes no direct mention of what the guy was after, with him continuing to tape her skirts and saying that she best do what he wants her to do, the taboo implication is rather clear. The English version removes all shots of the camcorder and the footage that he was filming, and instead makes it very clear that he's only after her money. Furthermore, in one shot, Téa's skirt was even lengthened like so. Number 3. Téa and the other Yugi going on a date. Téa and Yugi's romantic feelings weren't completely removed by 4Kids, although they did tone it down on numerous occasions, including the time that the pair went on a date. The date occurs during episode 53 and was set up by Yugi to try and cheer his other self up. The English versions, however, never mention that this was a date, and it also removes all elements of shyness from the two characters. Instead, 4Kids rewrote the section so that it's all just about trying to help the other Yugi figure out his past. Here's an example of how 4Kids altered the scene.
へえ、デートかよ。お前もやっとその気になったんだな。頑張れよ、相棒。とは言っても、僕じゃないんだけどね。
No, I guess not. But I still have many riddles to unlock. I don't have time for surprises.
Don't worry. What I've got planned's gonna help.
How am I gonna help the spirit figure out his past? I mean, I know a little bit about the Millennium Puzzle, but I'm not sure there's anything I can tell him about it that he doesn't already know. This is way too much pressure.
もう一人の遊戯とのデートか。遊戯はもう一人の遊戯を千年パズルの中にいる別の人格だって言ってるけど、私ってば何緊張してんのよ、もう。
And continuing on with that notion is number 4, Téa's jealousy towards Rebecca. Again, this wasn't completely removed in the dub, but 4Kids did sometimes tone this down for Western audiences. Rebecca is a young but highly competent duelist who appears numerous times throughout the show. She has a huge crush on Yugi and will often shower him with affection and makes no secret of her feelings. Even in the English version, Téa will sometimes be shown getting annoyed by the attention Yugi receives from her. However, in the Japanese version, her jealousy was much more clear. Take this scene for example, which 4Kids decided to remove a whole section from.
I
just hope they've got a tunnel of love, don't you?
Number 5, Téa needing to pee. It is clear that 4Kids feels that characters needing to pee is too inappropriate for Western audiences, as this is something that was removed multiple times throughout the show. One of the first times this was removed occurs during a scene with Téa and Joey on a boat in episode 3. Whilst in Japan she was feeling uncomfortable due to needing to go to the toilet, in the English version this was changed to her being cold.
Hey, Téa, stay down or we're busted!
It's freezing out here, I can't sit still.
In another few hours, the sun will rise.
That's not funny, Tristan.
もうダメ。
おい、隠れてないとまずいって。
だって我慢できないんだもん。おトイレどこ？
そこからすればいいだろう。
バカ！私男じゃないんだから。
Number 6, Téa's monsters. Whilst Téa doesn't duel that often throughout the show, she is actually a pretty decent duelist herself, and her deck revolves around various female spellcaster and fairy types of monsters. However, the types of cards that she uses were a big source of censorship over in the West, with many of Yu-Gi-Oh's female monsters being altered overseas so that they are, for example, dressed in more clothing. This means that numerous of Téa's cards were affected. Examples including Fairy's Gift, which was given a dress over in the West, as well as Elf's Light, which was again given extra clothing outside of Japan. Number 7, the rope incident. All references to this scene from episode 28 were completely removed by 4 kids. Téa, Tristan and Bakura must all climb a tall building via a rope, and the boys insist on Téa going first so that if she falls they will be able to catch her. It's likely that this wasn't the only reason for them wanting her to go first though, and Téa pulls on her skirt nervously and with a red face tells them that there's no way she's going first. This whole section was cut out in the West. Furthermore, when the group do eventually climb the tower, it is only in the Japanese version where the boys are made to wear blindfolds to make sure there's no peeping. And lastly, number 8, the shower scene. During episode 12, Téa takes an outdoor shower whilst the gang set up camp for the night, and perhaps unsurprisingly, 4 kids made a few changes to this scene over in the West. There were 2 changes made to the scene. The first of these is to some dialogue from Mai and Joey.
Look at you go, Joey. Only thing missing is a chef's hat. And a cute apron.
Jeez, alright already.
こら男ども覗くんじゃないわよちゃんと料理しな。あんずちゃん、外は私が見てるから安心して。
The other change happens a little later when Téa thinks she hears somebody outside. Mai rushes in but can't find anything. However, it is only in the Japanese version where they suddenly hear another strange noise. First up is the English version to compare it with.
Hey Mai?
Ah! What's wrong?
I heard something moving around right outside.
Well, it's gone now.
Wow, it sure smells.
マイさん。どうしたの？今カーテンの向こうで物音が。誰もいないわ。
どうしたの？何かあったのか？おい、入っていいか？
いいわけないだろ。